And now it's time for one of my favorite things that I get to do every year, being part of the Mishar Distinguished Clinical and Translational Research Mentor Award. This award, now in its 6th year, was originally developed by the Michigan Education and Mentoring Group to really recognize outstanding mentors and elevate mentoring as one of the pillars of academic achievement on par with teaching, research, in really changing the way we evaluate faculty, not only yearly, but in terms of making promotion decisions within the academy. The Mishar Education and Mentoring Group was really responding to evidence that came out of the NIH that said that having a good mentor is critical to every promising scientist, leading to discovery and breakthroughs in basic science, health promotion, disease prevention, and medical treatment. In addition to promoting and enabling scientific inquiry, a good mentor also provides advice and guidance to tackle a whole host of challenges that mentees face during the development of their careers, including work-life balance or integration, working with collaborators, and of course, getting rejected on your grants and papers. All of the advice, support, and guidance that mentors give really requires carefully honed skills that a good mentor can adapt to each mentee's needs. The criteria for the Mishar Mentor Award, which are up on this slide here, really we asked the nominators to include evidence from these 4 competencies to look at the extent at which the nominees embody each of them. The 2017 Mentor Awardees were found to be exceptional in these 4 areas. And I have to say, every single nomination we get is exceptional in these 4 areas, which makes this also one of the most challenging things that I do every year. During the award ceremony, the nominators are going to share how their amazing mentor awardees superbly demonstrate one or more of these competencies. So now to present this year's Mentor Awards, I'd like to introduce Dr. George Mishar, who's the Associate Dean for Clinical and Translational Research, as well as serving as the Director of Mishar, and also having an Executive Director role of Translational Research in the Office of Research here at the University of Michigan. He also serves as the Bert Ledoux Professor and Associate Chair for Research in the Department of Anesthesiology, as well as being the founding director of the Center for Consciousness Science at the University Medical School. His clinical interests are in neurosurgical anesthesiology and critical care, and his scholarly interests relate to the mechanisms in monitoring of consciousness. Please help me welcome Dr. Mishar.
Thank you very much, Vicki. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you to the Mishar Education team for hosting the event. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to the mentees for recognizing and appreciating your mentors. And of course, congratulations and welcome to the mentors themselves. This is such a critically important process, and this event is very special to me. I echo Vicki's comment that it's probably the most meaningful Mishar event of the year because there's something very personal about that mentoring relationship. In fact, when I was presenting last year, my main goal for the program was not to burst into tears because every time I heard the mentees speak, I was just so moved by that commitment. And in addition to everything that Vicki was saying, I was thinking last night about mentorship and how it really forms the link and binds us over time over the community of scholars, going back to Plato's Academy, just thinking about the trajectory of Western thought, where Aristotle studied for 20 years, then he founded the Lyceum, and so on and so forth for the millennia behind us, and then thinking about the impact that people like you are going to have on the millennia to come. So it's a very important process, and I'm proud that Mishar recognizes this, promotes it, and supports it. Since we founded the program and the award ceremony, we've had 140 nominations, over more than a dozen units across campus. We've recognized 37 outstanding mentors. They're listed on the back of the program. And we've often had the opportunity to have wonderful speakers come and inspire us, share their expertise and perspective, as Dr. Rico did today for us. So without further ado, I would like to present the awards. And the first award goes to Dr. Stephen Buckland, who is the Newman Professor and also the Chief of Pediatric Plastic Surgery. And presenting is a mentee, Kavitha Nathan, who is a Senior House Officer in Plastic Surgeries. I'd like to welcome you to the stage.
Thank you all so much for the honor of Thank you so much for the honor of being with you all here today to recognize my mentor, Dr. Buckman. I've had the distinct privilege of being Dr. Buckman's mentee for the past 7 years now. Our residency program is actually that long. And over the course of this time, I realized that the reasons why I picked Dr. Buckman as my mentor initially 7 years ago are actually quite different from the reasons why I selected him for this nomination. I initially selected Dr. Buckman to be my mentor because of his excellence and his CV. He has over 150 publications, too many awards to count, has an R01 funded lab, which is one of the most prominent labs in the country within plastic surgery. Additionally, he has so many mentees that have had successful careers in plastic surgery. Those are the reasons why I initially thought Dr. Buckman would be the best mentor for me as a future pediatric plastic surgeon. What I've realized, however, and the number one reason why I am so grateful to recognize Dr. Buckman in this Distinguished Mentor Award is because of his boldness and courage with which he speaks out for all his mentees, as well as his patients that are in need. I think oftentimes we think of mentorship as something that anyone can do, and of course anyone can do it, but only very few have the courage to stand up for those who need them at times when they do. For me, Dr. Buckman stood up for me to other faculty members, for other patients. He advocates for them when they need massive operations that no one else is willing to do. And so for those reasons, for the courage and boldness with which he helps his patients and mentees like me, I'm so grateful to all of you, and I'm very happy to that Dr. Buckman has been selected for this award. Thank you.
Our next awardee is Dr. Vanessa Dalton, who is not here with us today, but speaking on her behalf is Dr. Michelle Hernandez.
Good morning. I'm thrilled to be able to recognize Vanessa today for her accomplishments as a mentor. I wanted to share with you 3 qualities about Vanessa that I think exemplify why she's been so impactful for my career and many others. Firstly, Vanessa is an includer. She loves to answer important questions by building big interdisciplinary teams. And she draws on expertise from clinical obstetrics and gynecology, but also public health services, economics, the social sciences, and invariably she includes learners at all levels in that work. She's currently conducting some groundbreaking work evaluating the impact of the Affordable Care Act on women's access to health care and costs of care. And she has included undergraduates, medical students, residents, fellows, early career faculty like myself in this work. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be a part of something that has national implications for our healthcare system. And secondly, Vanessa is a real change agent. She really believes that science has to be translated to have meaningful impact. And she teaches us in our mentorship meetings to think about patient needs. Invariably, the needs of often marginalized and underserved women come up in those conversations. And she coaches us, as we heard about this morning, to start there. Start with how we can better serve our patients. conduct good work, and get it into the hands of stakeholders and policymakers who can help change the healthcare system for our patients. Finally, I wanted to mention that Vanessa is a fierce advocate for the professional advancement of women in our field. I'm so proud to be one of her mentees. She really has a remarkable ability to adapt her mentorship style to the person in front of her and whatever their unique needs are. She's single-handedly building her own little army of women who conduct health services research on women's health. And I couldn't be more honored to recognize her achievements today. She's a huge part of why we all love coming to work every day. She's who we want to be when we grow up, and I'm just thrilled to be able to present her with this award today.
Thank you so much. Oh, sure. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. And now our next awardee is Dr. Mediel Gaglieri. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And speaking on her behalf is Dr. Mark Daskin, who's the Johnson Collegiate Professor, Chair of Industrial Operations Engineering.
Thank you. So when I first came to Michigan in January of 2010, Marielle was the only assistant professor in the Industrial and Operations Engineering department, and she really had no peers in the department at that time. In the intervening 8 years, Marielle has proven to be an outstanding researcher, teacher, professional colleague, and mentor, and I want to talk a little bit about 3 of her mentoring activities. When Marielle arrived on campus about 2 months before I got here, our student chapter of INFORMS, the Institute for Operations Research and the Management Sciences, was pretty much a moribund organization. She took on the mentorship of that group, and in recent years, the group has won numerous cum laude and magna cum laude awards from the parent organization. 2 of the student leaders have won the Judith Liebman Award, the top award that the Institute gives for student leadership, and this is an organization with about 12,000 members and 4,000 of whom are students. Marielle has also served as our department's Rackham Faculty Ally for Diversity, and in this role she has helped us recruit a much more diverse set of faculty, and she's established the Diversity Banquet for the department and has created a diversity seminar series that has allowed us to attract numerous outstanding women and underrepresented minority speakers. Marielle's students have, with her mentorship, won numerous national awards. And I want to tell you about one Friday last winter term when we found out that 2 of her PhD students received the prestigious and highly competitive National Science Foundation Graduate Fellowship. To put this into some perspective, there were only 9 such awards nationally in our field of industrial engineering, a field that has something like 80 to 100 departments across the country. And 2 of them were her students, and both are underrepresented minorities. But that's not all that happened that Friday. Marielle was also awarded with the Willie Hobbs Moore Aspire Advance Achieve Mentoring Award for the university. And so 8 years after I arrived at Michigan, much has changed in our department. We now have many assistant professors. Marielle is a tenured associate professor, but one thing has remained pretty much constant, and that is that she's still without peers when it comes to mentoring of students and indeed of our entire faculty. And so congratulations, Marielle.
Congratulations. Thank you. Our next awardee is Dr. Julie Lemaine, who's a professor of pediatrics and also one of our faculty leads at Misher. Speaking on her behalf is Dr. Megan Pesch, who's a clinical lecturer in pediatrics and communicable diseases. I feel like Julie should also win the Best Supporting Actress Award for her stunning performance in The Mentee.
I'll fix this up.
Thank you.
So I printed out my remarks this morning and left them on my printer, so I'm going full millennial style and trying to embrace some technology here, so please bear with me. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Dr. Julie Lemaine and tell you briefly about the reasons why Dr. Lemaine is very deserving of this award. 2 minutes is insufficient to summarize the numerous ways in which she has helped support me, my career, and the research career of numerous other young investigators. But I will synthesize our experiences and try to convey her impressive level of skill. Dr. Lemaine is extremely generous with her time and personal dedication to mentee success. She has mentored me since 2009 and has been instrumental in my transition from medical student to resident to fellow, and now to faculty here at the University of Michigan. Dr. Lemaine is an attentive listener and clear communicator. Her feedback is always simultaneously enlightening and practically useful. When editing grants or manuscripts, she offers feedback that is tailored to my developmental stage and challenges me just where I need it. Each mentee of hers with whom I have spoken echoes their appreciation of her clarity of communication and ability to incorporate bigger picture issues into research guidance. We all appreciate her ability to step back and process an interaction or difficult experience with the goal of learning from it and adjusting course. On a personal note, Dr. Lemaine has served as a wonderful feminist role model for me. She has shown me how it is possible for a woman to integrate family and work life while excelling at an academic institution. I hope to follow in her footsteps one day. In summary, there is really no one else like Dr. Lemaine, and we are all sincerely grateful for what she has given us. Please congratulate her with me.
Congratulations. Our next awardee is Dr. Lori Pierce, and speaking on her behalf is Dr. Reshma Jadsi, who is the director of the Center for Bioethics and Social Sciences and Medicine, professor and deputy chair in the Department of Radiation Oncology, where Dr. Pierce is a professor, and who's also our vice provost. Congratulations.
Okay, so this is the most fun thing that I've gotten to do all year. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce my mentor and mentor just so many in our department, Dr. Lori Pierce. 2 minutes is really insufficient time to do justice to all of the ways that Lori fulfills the criteria for this award. I will tell you a little story of how I first met her, which I think tells a little bit about what kind of person she is. So I had given my very first oral presentation as a resident at another program. And Lori was at the time leading the most important trial in our field and was already a luminary. She was only in her 40s at the time, but she was up on a pedestal. And I got off stage and I was still trembling after a very difficult question from actually someone who had trained her. And I was still shaking, and she came up to me and she said, "That was a really fabulous presentation." And I couldn't say anything other than, "You're Lori Pierce." And yet she didn't hold it against me that I was inarticulate at the time, and actually welcomed me to come as a visiting resident to work with her. And she's a very large part of the reason that I chose to join the faculty here. Everything that I have experienced and enjoyed in my career has been because of the doors that she's opened for me. The incredible example that she provides to all of us builds such respect. She's going to laugh when I say this, but we've been bonding over our shared love of Hamilton. And I just saw it this weekend. And the song, It Must Be Nice, right? It must be nice to have Washington on your side. So the point is that George Washington was one of a kind. He was the man that people would stand up against much larger armies and much larger forces because he was so inspiring, and no one else could have begun our nation. When I was speaking to another colleague in our field about our respective trajectories, she said to me, basically, it must be nice to have Lori Pierce on your side. She is the George Washington of our field. She has mentored so many. Some of her mentees are in the audience today. We just can't speak highly enough of her. She's an exceptional mentor, role model, and friend. Thank you.
And our next awardee is Dr. Sanjay Saint, who is a professor of medicine. And speaking on his behalf is Dr. John Brothers, who is the chair of internal medicine.
First, George, it's wonderful that Michigan gives out these awards. I just want to say a few things about Sanjay Saint, since his mentee who nominated him is not here, but I'm going to comment something from him. First of all, Sanjay is my counterpart at the VA and leads one of the most stringent research-operated VAs in the country. I'll just highlight three things I think that bring out his passion for research. And keep in mind, he gives a lot of advice to people who are under his research wing, because he's one of our extraordinary internists who are great diagnosticians, and we pride ourselves in trying to diagnose issues with patients coming into the hospital. First, Sanjay developed a training program at the VA for clinical research. That happened about 2 or 3 years ago. He incorporated several people, and this is not only for individuals to really push their prowess to learning how to do clinical research and ultimately rewarding and hopefully a grant down the line, but it provides an avenue, much like the R1 boot camp, for this pathway in the VA system. So that was something that he started. Second, I want to highlight the diversity of people he has trained. He has trained multiple people. I can't mention them all, but I do want to mention a few people, partly because not only has it trained them in their research, and he gets buy-in and builds their confidence, but it also launches them for leadership positions. So I just want to highlight particularly some of the women. Mary Rogers, who's a research extraordinary, who works closely with Lona Moni, who's now the Associate Division Chief for Geriatrics, and has followed in many avenues of his footsteps in following and trying to correct the infections in the geriatric population and encumbered people. Sarah Klein, who recently won the Distinguished Research Award from the university. And Preeti Milani, who also does some fantastic research from the Infectious Disease Division, was recently named the Chief Medical Officer for the university. So he really builds the leadership skills on top of their research skills. Let me just quote a one-liner from the person who nominated him, Vineet Chopra, who himself has done very well and just became the division chief for hospital medicine at the university. He quotes, "I'm glad Sanjay was my mentor. What a fantastic person to emulate." So I think that sums it up for Sanjay, and I want to congratulate him on his award here tonight. It's a pleasure.
All of us?
Oh,
And our last awardee who can't be with us today is Dr. Vincent Young. And speaking on his behalf is Christine Bassis, who is an assistant research scientist.
Hi. So I'm happy to speak on behalf of Vince's mentees today. When we decided to nominate Vince for this award, we reached out to many of Vince's mentees for letters of support. This is a diverse group that includes medical students, PhDs, physicians, graduate students, undergraduates, underrepresented minorities, and many women, both in academia and in industry. I'd like to share some highlights and common themes from these letters. Vince is a dedicated, approachable mentor and enthusiastic supporter of young scientists. He makes time for frequent meetings and the development of projects and support of mentees' goals is a priority for him. He provides insightful review of presentations, manuscripts, and grant applications, as well as guidance navigating careers. Another really great thing about Vince is that he facilitates beneficial career connections and collaborations, bringing together physicians and other researchers with different expertise to tackle big problems. And at the same time, he values life outside of work and supports that in his mentees as well. So thank you very much for recognizing Vince's excellent mentoring with this award.
I'd like to invite Vicki back to the stage, but I do want to say congratulations to all the mentors. Thank you to all the mentees for sharing your reflections. I've been fighting back the tears. It is very emotional and very inspiring. Thank you.
So I want to thank everyone for attending today's event, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank some of the people within the Michigan Education and Mentoring Group. And so in particular, I want to thank Christy Bikes-Jazeri, who really is the one that put this entire event together, along with Laura Denton within faculty development at Michigan Medicine. So I'd like to have a round of applause for them. I also want to thank Dr. Rubio again for coming and giving a really great coaching talk. And it was really great to use my coaching skills again, because it is something, even though I've been through some of the training, it's not natural, and you have to think about it and be very thoughtful about what you're doing and actually give attention to the person that you're talking to use those skills. So thank you all for attending today. I hope to see you at future events. On the back of your program are some resources and some listing that you might be interested in. I would like you to take note that the nominations for next year's Michar Mentors or Distinguished Mentor Award is going to become live within February, so start thinking about who else you can mentor. And thank you.